If you drive out of downtown Ocala in almost any direction, the city loosens its grip quickly. Sidewalks give way to shoulders. Traffic thins. Fence lines begin to appear, white and evenly spaced, running parallel to the road for miles at a time. Behind those fences are pastures, barns, training tracks, and operations that don't announce themselves because they don't need to. This is not decorative land. This is working land. And long before Ocala was associated with art museums or glass-bottom boats or themed attractions, it was associated with animals and people who understood how land behaves over time. This episode is about how that quietly turned Ocala into one of the most important horse regions in the country. This is the Gallivanter Podcast. I'm Chad, and when people call Ocala the horse capital of the world, they're not repeating a slogan that someone dreamed up late in the 20th century. They're describing a reputation that formed slowly through breeding records, land use, veterinary outcomes, and decades of people choosing this place again and again for the same reason. The land worked. Most of Florida is not ideal horse country. Much of the state holds water too long. Soil stays soft. Pastures break down under weight. Hooves suffer, joints suffer, training seasons are interrupted. Marion County is different. Beneath the surface, it's limestone. Above it is sandy loam that drains efficiently while still holding nutrients. Rain moves through rather than pulling. Pastures recover quickly. Horses spend more time outside with less wear and tear on their bodies. Add to that a mild winter climate and long growing seasons, and you have a place where horses can be exercised year-round without extended downtime. That combination was noticed early. By the first half of the 20th century, breeders were already relocating operations here. Not because it was fashionable, but because horses raised here stayed sound longer. That matters to people whose livelihoods depend on animals staying healthy. By the 1940s and 50s, Ocala had established itself as a serious thoroughbred breeding region. The turning point that made outsiders pay attention came in 1956, when Needles, bred in Ocala, became the first Florida-bred horse to win the Kentucky Derby. Florida was no longer just racing horses, Florida was producing them. Soon after, the Ocala Breeders' Sales Company, commonly known as OBS, became a permanent fixture in town. Its yearling and two-year-old sales drew buyers from Kentucky, New York, California, Europe, and beyond. Many nationally known racehorses passed through Ocala as young prospects long before appearing on television or in racing headlines. Most visitors never see that side of the city, but it is foundational. What developed in Ocala was not just breeding farms, but a complete horse economy. The result was density. Horse people could operate their entire professional lives without leaving Marion County. That concentration is rare. The World Equestrian Center, Ocala, did not invent Ocala's horse culture. It consolidated it. The property is vast, with multiple indoor and outdoor arenas, extensive barns, permanent grandstands, and infrastructure designed to host national and international competition at scale. Riders ship in from across the country and from overseas, often staying for weeks at a time. For visitors, the experience begins the moment you step onto the grounds. This is not a fairground. It reads more like a campus. At the center of the property sits the Equestrian Hotel, and it immediately resets expectations. The lobby is expansive, with high ceilings and oversized floral arrangements that lean toward European formality rather than Florida casual. Along the walls are large oil-style portraits of dogs painted in the tradition of aristocratic hunting scenes, which gives the space a slightly surreal, quietly playful tone. The effect is intentional. This is meant to seem more like a palace, or at least an interpretation of one. Inside the hotel are multiple restaurants and bars, ranging from full-service dining rooms to cocktail lounges that stay active well into the evening. There is also a bakery on site that functions as a morning anchor, drawing riders, staff, and visitors before the day's events begin. One of the more unexpected details is the toy and gift shop inside the hotel. It is carefully curated, with high-quality toys, books, and gifts that seem chosen rather than branded. The hotel works as its own destination, even for people who are not competing. Outside the main outdoor show arena anchors a pedestrian zone lined with shops and eateries focused on equestrian life. Riding apparel, boots, helmets, horse gear, and everyday clothing are sold side by side, creating the sense of a village built entirely around the sport. Food options range from sit-down restaurants to quick counters designed for people moving between classes or schooling sessions. One of those counters is Ralph's Burger and Sandwich Shop. Ralph's is straightforward. Order at the counter, grab a seat, and eat. The burger is grilled properly, seasoned well, topped simply, and served on a bun that holds together. It is, without exaggeration, the best burger in Ocala. What makes the World Equestrian Center unusual is that it functions even when competitions aren't happening. People come to walk the grounds, families come for dinner, locals come during the holidays. During the Christmas season, the property becomes a destination in its own right, with extensive decorations, large-scale light displays, and seasonal programming that draws visitors who may have no connection to horses at all. That accessibility is important. It allows Ocala's horse culture to be visible rather than closed off. Silver Springs explains how people first learned the name Ocala. Downtown explains how the city organized itself. Horse Country explains why Ocala looks the way it does when you leave the downtown area and head outward. This place was shaped by land, animals, and long-term decisions rather than short-term spectacle. The World Equestrian Center did not change that. It made it easier to see. If you want to understand Ocala, don't just pass through it. Spend time with it. Walk the square, visit the springs, drive the fence-lined roads, sit in the grandstand. Heck, have that burger at Ralph's. You'll thank me later. That's the city.